this energy, that what upgrade does, it can translate into physical, something that you can actually experience yourself tangibly. It's not just like a thought. It's not like you can actually see the uptake in your physical performance. And that's just that aspect of physical. This is fantastic. Hi, guys.
Hey, Philipp.
Hey,
Hey, Serena. How's it going, guys?
Hi.
Hey.
I'm so happy to see you guys. Hi. Hi,
Look
Bestie.
great.
Oh, thanks. Filters and makeup.
Inner light. I'm biased, but I think it's inner light.
Well, and I love you. I appreciate that. I think it's also all the light that I have been receiving with grace and gratitude from you guys, from all these beautiful light workers and healers. And so you guys fill me up. I just get to beam it out. So, all right. Well, cool. Okay, we're all here. Everyone's really excited. Thank you for all the hearts. I haven't been on here in a minute, so everyone is really excited to learn more. And I know that today, Philipp, we're talking about some updates to Quantum Upgrade. We talked about it, gosh, it's been months now. Would you mind, or one of you, just kind of give the audience a refresher? There's already a lot of people on here that have joined the community, either with Quantum Upgrade or with trusty devices, not devices, products. But, for the newbies who don't yet know, would you mind just sort of giving a quick summary, Philipp, about what Quantum Upgrade is and why we're here to talk about updates today?
Yeah, so we have developed one of the most powerful sources of pure natural quantum energy on Earth, and we have managed to build a system that connects a digital front end with an analog system and make it in a way where it's completely customizable and flexible. So literally everyone can now stream quantum energy anywhere in the world, and there's different ways. So you can have it for yourself, so that would be for a person basically, and then you would be in the field at all times, and you can set different levels of energy strength or power that you want to have at a given time. And that is, it works with the Hawkins scale, because so that people have a frame of reference. And the levels available are between 500 and actually 1,400. If I count in the new boosters for some of the people that have been with Quantum Upgrade for at least, I think, 3 or 4 months, because for the level like 1,400 as a booster, most people could not tolerate that in the beginning. It would literally be too much, despite our harmony feature that we build in, because it's just very powerful energy. Yeah, and I'll get into some of the new functions, but not only can you have that for yourself, you could have it for a pet, you could have it for a car, for a phone, for a location. That includes like a home, but you can have it also for just an individual apartment. And lastly, you can have it for a business. So that's in a nutshell something that we've developed, and you can manage it easily on a web application.
So sorry, go ahead.
And and just to say this up front, it sounds crazy. How can this work? And we're fully aware of that. And that's actually part of the fun. I think, I'm having fun with that, because it's so cutting edge that most people still think, how can that work? And that's why we have a free trial, so people can actually check it out and test it. And that's also why we are working, diligently on a lot of studies to show the physical effects it has. And it's it's undeniable at this point. And there's some fun and great stuff, and iron actually played a major role in that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into that later.
Yeah,
and Ian, feel free to
I'll
jump
jump
in with
you
anything
when we get to that point. But yeah, exciting, kind of seemingly kind of crazy from the outside, but all running triplicate and quadruplicate and verified, and I actually can't wait to explain it, because even though I was setting up the experiments and blinding the experiments and structuring them, when we got the data sets back, it was still kind of a wow, just remarkable turn of events. So yeah, I'll jump in whenever.
Okay, well, real quick, because we're just a few minutes in and we have more people piling in, I just want to make sure that everyone's got their volume all the way up on their devices, just in case, because I know that when I go live, for whatever reason, the volume drops, and I have to go ahead and push it all the way back up to the maximum on my phone, so I'm not sure if that's the case with yours. For the few hundred people that jumped on, yes, someone just said having a hard time hearing Ian. Well, Iron tinkers with that. Just for the few hundred people that jumped on while Philip was talking, we're here to talk about updates to the quantum upgrade. For those of you that aren't familiar or need a refresher, we already have some videos that have been put out there, because we had these two handsome gentlemen on earlier, several months back, talking about what quantum upgrade is. Essentially, it applies quantum entanglement in a way that actually gives us results, and Ian's going to be talking about that, some of the scientific proof. There's also certified EMF harmonization that that quantum upgrade provides. It's part of it's part of one of the benefits of quantum upgrade, which of course these two handsome gentlemen will talk about as well. So there's a lot. There's live blood analysis that show results. Ian, you can jump in at any time.
I was just going to say, part of the reason is it might be difficult, hopefully not that difficult to hear me, but is I'm wearing my my earbuds, which I quite literally have not worn for years. But
probably because of EMF. This is how much he loves you guys. He's putting on these earbuds.
That's exactly it. Yeah, that's exactly it. Is I don't do it because of EMFs. However, now it doesn't really matter, and we have the data that shows that. So whereas I've been, walking around with my old school wired earbuds forever and a day with the cord, me too. Yeah, now I'm not worried about it, because even though it overcomes the voltage gated calcium ion channels, which is what gets kind of kinked up from the EMFs, it's irrelevant. And I've got the data that shows that it's irrelevant. So wireless earbuds, it's far more fashionable and trendy. So.
Well, and for those of you that are wondering why Ian's seeing it, it's because he's using quantum upgrade to sort of harmonize the EMFs around you, right? So you have
exactly. So you're still exposed to the EMFs, but the detrimental component is knocked out. And we always talk about this, but it kind of drives the point home. There's a video that we did in the 2021 biohacking conference where we brought a fellow, Todd Shipman, biohacker Todd, on stage, who had a really bad shellfish allergy. And we derma rolled one arm, put crab juice in, instant histamine reaction, just like an old dermal stamp test from, you go to the doctor and the allergist runs a dermal stamp and you have a histamine reaction. Same thing happened. Then we put, stuff in the quantum block, which effectively is kind of the same intrinsic function that we're talking about with quantum upgrade. And then we derma rolled this other arm, put the same juice from the same can on, and there is no histamine reaction. And so despite the fact that the chemical interaction is the same and should, in theory, yield the same biochemical reaction, histamines, it doesn't. And that's because you harmonize it via the field. And so that's exactly why I'm wearing these things after so many years of being an ardent and staunch naysayer and saying, oh, you can't wear wireless earbuds. But now it doesn't really matter. So I'm good. The proof is in enough that I'm willing to throw myself in front of what would be a bust if it were actually there. Because most people who aren't trying to harmonize the field, it is actually a really detrimental interaction, because the power coming out of these things is so much more than is necessary to overwhelm the voltage gating and shift the potentiation inside your neuronal flow inside your head, just because of the signal crossing back and forth, that if it were not safe, there is no way in hell I'd be doing it. But at this point, it's great.
yes, I would actually love all the papers that show that that's not safe, because I know some people near and dear that use those wireless earbuds every day. So, but we have been sending quantum upgrade energy to, those people to try and help balance them. Can we talk a little bit about the cells? Like how does this how does this affect the ATP production in our cells? Like what's happening in our cells?
So the most impressive thing, and I think Philip would probably agree with this, the most impressive test data that I've seen personally in a long time was an experiment that we recently did, and we've done it 3 times because it was hard to believe at first, and every time we've kind of dialed in to get the variables taken out and make sure that we're absolutely on point. The last time we did it was the 3rd time we've run the experiment, and I think we took out any confounding variables that we could. I'm sure there are more because there are always more, but it was a pretty good experimental design. And we also ran everything in quadruplicate, so that we plated a 96 well plate filled with the cells, and we did basically 4 different versions. So we had healthy cells and then cancerous cells, so that we could see, is it working on just healthy cells or is it working on any cells? So we used human dermal fibroblasts as the healthy cells, and then we used A549, which is a transformed cancerous cell line for the control for cells that were damaged. And then we also did it with glucose. So one was in a kind of a normal glycolytic metabolism, and then the other one using a thing called L15, which puts it into a ketogenic metabolism. So we tested it in both arenas where you'd have healthy cells, both with their normal nutrient cycle and in ketogenic, and then damaged cells healthy and ketogenic as well. And the results were honestly just kind of amazing to me. So we had an uptick of, at a minimum, more than 20% ATP output from literally the moment the cells were charged with a quantum upgrade. And I was actually the only person that knew. One of the biochem professors at the university where I used to teach plated the cells, and then we ran an initial time point with a luminometer. So you put them in the cell plate reader, and it counts how many photons are coming off. So it's very, very, very precise. Like 10 to the minus 14. I mean, it's kind of this crazy precise thing where you can get absolute, precision in terms of how much ATP is there. So we know exactly how much ATP is coming out. And then I took a picture and sent it to Philip, and then Philip plugged it into the quantum upgrade. He didn't know which which cell plate was which. And so 2 pictures went in, and then we took them out at time points and measured the ATP at 5 minutes, 13 minutes, 19 minutes, and so on. And it was so remarkable to me. It just jumped everything across the board in all 4 groups. All of them jumped. One group actually jumped over 25%. And
wow!
It was just remarkable. I mean, you don't see things like that. And the beauty was everything was in quadruplicate. So the distribution curve, one side jumped, and the other was what we would term stochastic distribution, which just means it's kind of a random small distribution, and there wasn't much change. And then over time, everything normalized out to where it would have been, but it was just such a rapid shift.
Wow!
And we'll publish the data and put it on the website at some point in the very near future. Yeah. It's been broken down into 2 components. So we had the guys doing the actual data collection and experimentation have written everything up, and then I'm writing the actual discussion and conclusion section of the paper. And then as soon as that's all done, we'll post it for everybody to see, because it's kind of the smoking gun of quantum interaction.
Yeah.
And it's just to see it in a biological capacity is I mean, it kind of makes me a little giddy, because we were doing things and verifying things that we don't really quite understand exactly how it's working. But we definitively know it's working. And I always say that, you've got to be agnostic, right? If you're going to be a good scientist, the first tenet there is honesty. You have to be agnostic and say, okay, this is really weird, but this is what it is.
Sure.
So,
yeah, I mean,
so we'll just report what it is.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily say why.
Yeah. I mean, you might not know why yet. The why is coming, or in a way to explain, but you know that it works. You've got that proof that these are the results. So there might be some people on here that doesn't really understand what that even means. What is ATP? What is an uptick in ATP production? And what does that mean for us? How does that affect us?
So, okay, so the basic there is ATP is adenosine triphosphate. It's the energy currency of your cells. Everybody calls the mitochondria the powerhouse of the cell. Well, what it actually produces is adenosine triphosphate. So you can survive for maybe 3 weeks without any food, maybe a week without water, a couple minutes without air. But if all the ATP production in your body's shut down, you'd be dead in about a second and a half. Everything would just be in a state of total cessation. So it really is, it's the currency that drives everything. And I would actually go a little bit farther and say that there's more subtle energy even beyond that. And if the subtle energy disappears, then everything drops. But that's actually really more close to where we're coming from with the quantum upgrade, because it's really addressing things at the most fundamental level that we can tap into. And hence it's a precursor to the ATP. So an ATP uptick of over 20% means quite literally your cells have more than 20% of an energy increase. So, you've just got a huge jump in the energy that you can use for whatever, thinking, running, exercising, whatever you want to do. I mean, it's a huge performance hack.
Yeah, let's frame that in a way where let's use athletic performance. What would be the difference with, let's say, an athlete or regular person? Let's say it takes you 15 minutes to walk a mile. If you had your ATP production uptick 20 to 25%, like what does that mean? And you don't have to use that as the framework example.
It would take you 12 minutes. Exactly. So, and that's the thing. So that's a pretty big jump.
Yeah.
I mean, if suddenly you can go, to either 12 minutes or 11 minutes and 20 some odd seconds, that's a big jump.
Huge.
And if you're running or you're a competitive athlete, same thing. It's a remarkable shift. If you can lift 200 pounds, well, suddenly you can lift 240 pounds. That's kind of a jump. Now, I would always caution people, and I know Philipp would say the same thing. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Go slowly. It's kind of like dealing with allergens. Just because we have data, and Philipp can talk about this. We have data that shows the longer you leave things in a quantum block, the less of an effect that you'll have in terms of an allergic reaction. And though we have those numbers quantified, we always say proceed with caution. This is just, it's data at this point, but we do have the data.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's really, sometimes when we're talking about quantum energy, when we're talking about quantum entanglement, and by the way, for those of you who are unaware, in just last year in 2022, the Nobel Prize for physics was awarded for work regarding quantum entanglement. So, it's here and now. Obviously there are people out there like Ian, like Philipp and his entire group, and everyone that supports Quantum Upgrade in this company, and of course also Leela Quantum. But it's coming more and more into this mainstream space, and more people are finally connecting to it and understanding it. So what I love about the example that you have for physical performance is that so often when it comes to something that's not tangible, that we can't touch or see, we kind of just want to put it in that spiritual realm, we put it into the meditation realm, we kind of put it into this other space, not realizing that this energy, that what quantum upgrade does, it can translate into physical, something that you can actually experience yourself tangibly. It's not just like a thought. It's not like you can actually see the uptake in your physical performance. And that's just that aspect of physical. So wanted to point that out. There's some questions, Phil, that I think it would be great if we could answer. There are people here that have become, fans and family, of course, of Quantum Upgrade and Leela Quantum, and they have questions about how to start. Can you use too many of these things at the same time? do, you know, I mean, obviously I've got my travel block. I don't leave home without it. It's like with my passport, you know, and then, and then I've got, you know, I've got my capsule, and I have, you know, different ones of these. I've got Heal. I've got this special one that's got Inner Peace. I've got the one for women. So it's a great question. You know, people will get all the products, and what's the best way to utilize without doing too much, because more doesn't mean better, right? And what would be the best, and how, in terms of the upgrade, how should people start, you know, if they don't know where they're at yet?
Mm-hmm. So if we're just looking at quantum upgrade, then we have so-called default levels that we set based on the best average value, which does not necessarily need to apply to everyone, because, you know, that's the average. But to the vast majority of the people, with the default values, if you just go with those, you get it started, you just set your time zone, click on update, and you don't mess with the Hawkins levels for the first several days at least, you'll be fine, and you will get into the energy, you get used to that. If you started as someone that is new to energy work and you know, being exposed and leveraging quantum energy, you don't want to set the levels too high in the beginning, because even though the whole quantum upgrade system has a specific harmony feature and a buffer, which we can get into, it still can at some point overwhelm the nervous system and also trigger detox effects if you just set it on too high. So you know, that's what I would say. But if you'll be safe with the default levels, you'll also be safe if you set it too high. Frankly, it's just that detox effects can be a little uncomfortable. But then, you know, okay, well, that was a little bit too much. Now I drink water, I turn it down. So, you know, it's not that you know, your head is not going to fall off or anything like that, right? So it's like just detox effects. That's still a good thing somehow. And to, you know, you can still combine it with Leela Quantum Tech products, obviously. And there's actually a lot of people that have both. They have blocks, they have the quantum upgrade, you know, they have the capsules. The capsules are different in a way because they have specific frequencies that they carry. The blocks are, you know, more like the pure quantum upgrade. They work with pure quantum energy, and at first they don't contain a specific frequency. The big difference is that with the quantum upgrade, you have the harmony and buffer features, so you can actually be exposed and leverage much higher levels on the Hawkins scale and much longer periods of times. That's one of the things. It's completely customizable and flexible, so you can set it up and down the Hawkins scale. You can turn it off at night, you can turn it down at night, you can do all these things. You can set boosters, none of which you can do with the block, because the block has just one level and that's it. However, the blocks also have advantages, right? So you could not be in a restaurant and charge your foods with the quantum upgrade. It just doesn't work. You need a physical block. You could not copy frequencies from one object into another with a quantum upgrade. You would need a block for that. You could not charge your silverware with a quantum upgrade. You need the block. So that's kind of the different use cases. But if you care about your personal energy and energy production and well-being for your physical body and your energetic body, the most powerful you can use is indeed the quantum upgrade for you. Yeah.
Would you mind? Well, let's say, because and everyone, I just want to remind you that the Philipp and the group at Quantum Upgrade has been so generous. They're offering a seven day free trial for you to just sort of experience the quantum upgrade and play with it a little bit, as Philipp was describing. So Philipp, you know, if someone can change it throughout the day, turn it off at night and such, how do they go about doing that? You know, can you just do a quick, just sort of walk through of what it would be like if someone were to sign up, so that they can really sort of get the most out of that 7-day experience?
Yes. So let's say it this way. If someone has already bought something on Amazon once, you'll be able to easily also handle the quantum upgrade, because it's very, very simple, to be honest. So you just log in, and then once you're logged in, you have a My Account set up, and there you can set your own time zone. You can click on update. You can set different levels on the Hawkins scale. It's very, very, very easy and simple to do. And so it doesn't take long at all, and it's very easy to understand. So think of it, it's like an app on your phone. It's not, we didn't build an app. We actually wanted to do that at first, and then the community said, let's just continue to work on the web application. So it works on the web and the browser. And one tip I give people always, that's what I do, is, when you log in, click on Remember Me, and then actually you won't be logged out for, I think, at least like 7 to 14 days, until at some point WordPress logs you out, and you just keep on your phone, you keep that browser window just open, and then each time you want to make a change, it's literally like an app. And then maybe every 14 days you need to log back in, but that's not too bad. So it's really simple. You can do it on the go anywhere you are. You just need internet connection to do that.
Someone asked, and I think this question actually comes up a lot when we hear about tools that can help ourselves, people that we love, people that we care about, maybe even people that we don't love, who knows. But, someone said, is it okay to send quantum upgrades energy to someone else, even if they don't believe in it? It's a great question.
So, so the first thing is, anyway, no one needs to believe in it for it to work, because it just works. Like the cells, for example, or the blood in those live blood analysis studies, none of those believed in anything. It was just there, and it was also double blind, so there's no clue of anything. So it works regardless. However, our experience is that if you work with it consciously and you have intentions, you can even amp up the effects. Okay, that being said, I think the question really goes to, my grandmother, she's not doing well, but she has no clue what this stuff is. Could I still sign her up? Of course you can sign her up. If, we suggest, ask them, if they want to. If they don't understand it, you just say, well, you'll just feel it, we'll just do it that way. If they consciously don't want to, then I don't think I would do it. If you can't ask them, or you feel there's just something you can't ask them, then just check in. And then from our perspective, you can, as long as you don't add specific frequencies, because it's literally just a neutral, pure quantum energy field. And everyone has also the free will to reject that energy, frankly. So it is possible. I would say the energetic offer, the higher it is on the Hawkins scale, it's hard to say no to it on an energetic level, because it just is beneficial in all regards, right? But yeah, you could do that. It's not like a healer working on someone and trying to just fix stuff without someone's knowledge. That is not recommended, and you should never interfere with someone without their consent. So yeah, that's what I would say. And then there's one more thing that we didn't have when we spoke last time. We have a free product now that everyone gets, that has been with Quantum Upgrade for 3 months, and we may actually add a second one that everyone gets very soon. And that is for any location in the world. You get to pick whether it's an animal shelter, a hospital, a school, or could even be a public beach somewhere, whatever it may be, or your grandmother's home. You get a free quantum upgrade for that location, but it's set at the level 550. It's preset and cannot be changed. And because at that point, if you're dealing with a lot of other possibilities on where you put that quantum upgrade, we checked in, and the level that is fine is 550. That's right above unconditional love and joy. It's a wonderful energy, but it's also not too high. So it's really like manageable literally for everyone and for everything. And Yeah, so
That's so
that's a
Oh,
fun
great.
new thing.
That's so great. And just another added bonus. I know you guys are going to keep adding more. Uh, would you mind just sort of explaining to people, if we've talked about EMF earlier and just the harmful effects of EMF. So again, just sort of bringing something that's a little bit more tangible, something that there's information that's already been out there that people seem to can grasp if they're not already part of this quantum upgrade family. Could we talk about a little bit of that, and then why quantum upgrade is at the very minimal so profoundly uh, helpful for that. And that's just one of a million things, of course, but for those who sort of need a little bit more tangible.
Okay, so EMF just refers, it's talking about electromagnetic frequencies and fields, and there's a tremendous amount of them. So the ones that we don't think we always think of EMFs as like 5G and stuff like that, from the field coming off of our phone, off of TVs, microwave towers, relay stations, 5G towers, that kind of stuff. And some of those are pretty detrimental. Smart meters are kind of an offending thing that's really not so good for your body. So physiologically, those things sting us, but in terms of EMFs, gamma rays are EMFs, and they'll literally cook you. Microwaves, same thing. EMFs, they'll cook you. The ones that we're referring to, generally speaking, are EMFs like 5G and things like that from the phones, the smart meters, and those act on voltage-gated calcium channels. And so basically, inside your body, all of your cells have a balanced influx and efflux. So calcium and potassium and magnesium, ionically, things are moving in and moving out, and they have a balance, right? And so that does a couple of things. One, it keeps the balance of protons and electrons in the proper homeostasis inside, and that provides energy for your cells and for things like ATP production, the electron transport chain, and it also provides for detoxing the cells and cytoplasm being healthy and in balance and things moving. So in the absence of a balance there, your cells have a tendency to actually get stuck, and they don't purify themselves, cleanse themselves. So all of those things start at a low level from the cellular level, and they cascade up. So if you're not detoxing properly, then your cells can't, by definition, be completely healthy. And they also can't have as much energy as they have, because it doesn't take much to shift the balance off. And so literally your cell phone, if you're holding your cell phone by your head, anybody who has a tri-field meter can put the tri-field meter by a cell phone, and it will absolutely peg it into the red. Especially like, an iPhone 14 done. It'll jack it over into the area where you kind of look at it and go, ooh, probably shouldn't have this by my head. And in truth, you shouldn't have it by your head, because it actually is damaging. So what the quantum upgrade program does is, at a very fundamental level, the quantum field stabilizes your physiology so that you don't get the detrimental effects. And that's why, if you look at it, and we can do more experiments, because we're constantly trying to revamp this and upgrade this, and no pun intended, do more experiments to show different scenarios. But we already have data showing the negating effect of the quantum upgrade on EMFs, and how the quantum fields, block the stress on your blood. And you can see that. I've always thought that, even though the new data we have is incredibly compelling to me, because it's all cellular data and bar graphs showing ATP levels, not everybody is looking at biochemistry and going, oh, this is perfect, I get it. The one that's probably the most compelling is still looking at the dark field microscopy, where you look at the blood and go, these things are all stacked in coin rolls, which is unhealthy, because they're all clustered ionically. They're stuck together, and hence they're not flowing. And then you look at the ones after somebody's been around a block for 5 minutes, or worn a jacket, or been in the quantum upgrade program, and all the cells dissipate and they're floating, and all the red blood cells look beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's kind of incontrovertible. And again, it's basically, we're using a quantum upgrade to beef up the cells at a sub-atomic level. So the way I perceive it, and this remains to be proven out, but it has all the appearances of being something that is more than 2 levels below the atomic level. So the quantum appears to coalesce and become some sort of subatomic particle that then coalesces to become like quarks and leptons and muons, which then coalesce to become protons and neutrons and electrons. And then that stuff cascades up to become, atomics and molecular stuff, and then us. And so we're just addressing it at the very fundamental level. So we're stabilizing things. And what I always tell people is everybody thinks they're solid. They kind of go, well, how can that possibly be? Well, you think you're solid, but you're not. You're a vibrating amalgamation of all these little strings, and those little things that are kind of oscillating all the time, they don't function by the normal rules that we consciously are taught, right? In school, you're taught that everything is solid and it's matter. Well, matter isn't really matter. So what we're doing is we're basing things on constructive harmonic interference or destructive harmonic interference. So if you think of a wave, for anybody who's ever played an instrument or tuned a guitar, when you are trying to tune two strings in, sometimes you'll hear this kind of whoa, 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 whoa interference pattern. And that's a destructive interference where things aren't synced up. And that nodal interaction creates something detrimental physically. What the quantum upgrade does is it retunes things so that the EMFs that are coming into your body actually get retuned. So even though they're still EMFs, instead of having a destructive interference pattern, you have a constructive interference pattern. And for anybody who's ever done muscle testing, that's how that actually works. It's a very simple function. It's quite literally, nonlinear dynamics. It's a constructive or destructive interference pattern based on something, consciousness somewhere, and all you're doing is reading it because, again, it cascades up. If it's constructive interference, your muscles are stronger. If it's destructive interference, your muscles are weaker. So we use that as the basis to go in a couple of levels below so that your physiology is blocked and buffered from the detrimental effects of the EMFs.
And so that's perfect because it's an amazing overview. I can jump into that now with new studies that were just literally completed last week that I even haven't talked about publicly by the BESA Institute in Austria. So they did some new studies for Leela Quantum Tech, but also for Quantum Upgrade. It was all about electric cars. And so because we had been asked about electric cars, I had made comments before that electric cars have the highest EMF radiation and pollution of all cars that exist by far and large. And it is really quite fascinating, and people can actually test that. You just need one of those little meters, and you can test it. And there's people that have done that. You can literally watch videos. And then we were asked about that, and there had been some tests by the BESA Institute in the past, but that was already 2 years ago, and the electric cars have changed.
Yes.
The batteries have become bigger, and so has the exposure. And so in their study, they're not allowed, at least per law in Europe, to name the manufacturer of the car that they were testing. But I can tell you, it's the most powerful electric car currently on the market there in the German-speaking area that they tested, and they had done tests for multiple days actually, and they tested before, the person before, then being in the car, just driving, and then being on the phone while driving, and then one thing that they had found out is actually that the exposure increases significantly. We so far have verified that. The longer you are in an electric car, the higher the exposure. It's quite so you're getting boiled, like the frog a little bit in your electric car. And so they also did a test, I think, for 30 minutes of driving and then being on the phone. How did that look like? And in all of the cases, 100% of the detrimental effects were neutralized. And it's quite profound if you think about it. And so it's fascinating because on one hand, it's very, very concerning if you think about it, that electric cars are pushed like crazy. The next thing is like, we don't really need to get into this, but it's the whole setup of the electric cars does not make any sense. Like you need to put in a lot more energy into these cars than in any other cars. It doesn't make any sense to begin with, but then it comes with this exposure of EMFs that is just unheard of, But the good news is there's a way around it. So you can actually be in an electric car
Hey,
and
Philip,
not
just out of
have any
curiosity,
issues.
not to be a whistleblower, but does it perhaps rhyme with Zesla? So,
Well, they also tested a Tesla at some point. In this case, though, this
oh,
car is
yeah,
actually
I gotta find out what it is.
not that
Well,
company. It starts with the P and it ends with an
Okay,
E. It's pretty
thanks for
famous
that.
luxury
Okay.
brand, actually. I think I can probably name it. I just say it's Porsche.
Yeah,
It's an
wow.
electric Porsche. Yeah.
that doesn't shock me actually, because the configuration on those, they've got an electric motor at every wheel, which which takes a tremendous amount of power.
Yeah, but the other ones that you just mentioned, I mean, it's all pretty much the same thing, right? It's quite rough, and it's gotten worse over time. And everyone's saying, in that industry that, there's, oh, you don't need to worry, EMFs don't have an
Yeah.
impact. It's just simply not true. I'm happy to debate any one of these people right away, and we can have real life data, we can have real life experiments and all that. It's just simply not true. And so, if they're not doing it with, an evil agenda or a nefarious agenda to put those car outs because of that. So if that's not the intent, then I hope at some point they'll be
Yes.
open to technologies like ours, where you can literally set every car up instantly and make sure you don't have these issues. So
Yeah.
that remains to be seen.
And on that note, the point that I really wanted to emphasize here to our community, and then of course the community at large, once this video is reposted, and that we can share it, is that it's sort of unavoidable. Whether or not you have an electric car, whether you get into an Uber that's an electric car that you don't really have a choice about, whether or not you use these wireless earbuds or not, or you're in an environment like secondhand smoke because someone else has those type of devices. It's part of our lives. It's part of our daily lives. And what's incredible is that now we have this tool. We've got quantum upgrade that can safeguard ourselves, our bodies, the people that we love, our community. I mean, here we have technology. We have these tools now that can, without us even having to consciously be aware of it on a regular basis, we can just subscribe, set it up, and have it set up so that it's constantly harmonizing those effects, and it's constantly protecting us in our bodies. So it just sort of makes sense to me. It's like if you go out in the rain, you're going to grab an umbrella if you've got one, and keep yourself covered up. This is our world now, and that's just the reality. We are surrounded by these, whether it's in the form of little earbuds or it's just 5G, and so it's just smart for your own well-being to
One thing I'd like to chime in is not only does it, if you look at the red blood cells, one of the things that's kind of remarkable to me is not only does it make them get back to a state of health, but generally speaking, even without exposure to EMFs, the red blood cells aren't functioning as well as they are after they're around the quantum block or the quantum upgrade. And so it's really, we keep talking about things defensively, but best defense is a good offense.
Yes.
What's actually happening is you're outpacing the normal performance of the cells, even in a bad environment. So in a good environment, it's fantastic, but it's still better than your blood would be doing. And of course, in the live blood analysis, it's better than your blood would be doing just in its nascent state without any intervention, which is also kind of remarkable. So we're taking a system that's in some sort of kind of dinged up homeostasis and actually optimizing it. And the fact that even when you add stressors to it, like EMS from cars or phones or smart meters, we're still outpacing all of that stuff. That is what's actually remarkable to me. We sometimes get lost on the idea like we're trying to block all the things that we're doing in the environment, but it optimizes this too. I know there's some athletes on here, Wayne, that I'm sure have noticed the difference, and I'd actually be curious to do some studies with some of those guys to see, in terms of peak performance, just how much we can take the most elite athletes and shift their performance, because all of those guys track their metrics meticulously. And that's a whole nother segment that we don't really look at, because we're always worried about making up for the deficit and not really paying attention to how much farther can I go, how much more effectively can my brain work. Because I'm personally speaking, that's what I'm always trying to do, is amp up cognitive function. And if I can do that, great. And I have better ability to change things and help people.
Yeah, 100%. And, I think in terms of just the collective consciousness, we're sort of shifting from this, once reactive state to then preventative state. And now we can be proactive, as you're saying, it's not about defense. It's being proactive. We're getting ahead, we're optimizing. And this is one of the very simple tools, as Philipp has already kind of walked us through, simple tools, simple ways that we can do this for ourselves and the people that we care about. And then even, and even further, anyone that might even need it out there. So thank you guys so much, for joining today. Do you guys have anything that you want to add? Oh, I do want, Philipp, would questions still go to the same community? This is for Quantum Upgrade. Is there a separate Telegram community, or is it the same? Should people have questions?
Yep, it's called the Quantum Upgrade Community. And let me just so ask Ian a question, and then during that 1 minute, I will find the link and copy it, because you won't be able to search for it on Telegram, because it's a private group. So I'll put it in here, and then maybe you guys can also copy it and put it in the description.
Yeah, team,
Give
we'll
me
go
1 second,
ahead
okay?
and we'll make sure that we put this on all our platforms. We'll update the caption so that the community here can ask questions and join that as well. And Ian, I miss you and I love you.
I love you
this
too.
This is so great.
So right there, I see in the comment, there's a comment from Story Poppy. That's Blaine McConnell, who is an elite CrossFitter and just an absolute beast. I would recommend that everybody take a look at his page. But he said, I can say without a doubt that quantum tech has improved my performance substantially. If you watch his videos, that is meaningful. That's a very meaningful statement, because he's a beast. Shout out for the dedication to the work plan, because I look at it every day and it's admirable every day. And I know that you're pushing the bounds and doing things that are physically just ridiculous to me. They're awesome and I admire it, but holy cow. So yeah, if you're saying that it's made a difference in your performance, then for the rest of us, absolutely, it's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, and also you guys have all that on the site, right, Philipp? So some of these recent studies, some of the results, all of this is going to be on the site for people who, they're visual as much as they are audio here in terms of learning. You can go and see all of that data in terms of what happened with the blood and everything that I.
Except the ATP study and the just mentioned BESA study. So I think the BESA study will be up and live probably in the next 2-3 weeks, and then the ATP.
Okay, fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah, so we always post it as we can, the moment we have it. And so what I love about Ian, also what Ian just mentioned, that maybe my parting words here, it's just like, he's the role model for the scientists in the new age.
Yes.
That's really how I see it, because you want to be curious, you want to be open, and you want to have fun with stuff that's like new and cutting edge, and not be closed-minded but open-minded, and then see, okay, what else can it do, right? And he just mentioned, okay, if we could have a study with these top performing athletes, and so that's exactly where I get really excited about too, because I mean, this is true stuff that can help, and if we can find out more and we can tell more people about it and see real differences, that's just amazing. It's just another toolkit in your box, to health, wellness, and performance. And make no mistake, we're living in times where we need to also do that, right? We're called to take care of our bodies and of our energetic system. no one's going to do it for us. As a matter of fact, the opposite is happening, because, if we buy just random toothpaste, it's just not going to be healthy for us. If we breathe air in the city, it's not going to be healthy for us. If we drive an electric car, it's not going to be healthy. So it's the issues we need to deal with are just increasing. So we need to take care of ourselves. And yeah, hopefully we do our part to at least help with that. And obviously iron, does amazing additional things where, that's then on the physical supplement side, which is also something you don't just want to do one thing. You want to just look at it holistically. And that's really my parting words. Also, shout out to everyone out there and to you, Serena, because you all are pioneers. Like we are, you are pioneers, because this is so early on. In 5 to 10 years, we'll be looking back, and this was the moment where the first few literally got it and they felt it and they went with it. But in 5 or 10 years, we'll be able to show way more data than we already have. So yeah, I think it's a fun
thank you
time.
so much for your words of wisdom. Just love having you guys on. This is so fun for me, so fun to share. And you guys, go check this out. It's pinned right here on my pinned comment. It's on our last post. We'll put all the links, and I really encourage you. It's been profound in my life, and as you can see, there's data. And if you guys know volunteers, if you have friends or professional athletes, people who didn't make this live, send this video when it's ready to them. Send the link to the post. We're looking for volunteers, to do this study. So I just kind of added it on there. I'm not sure if that was helpful. But who knows, So, but thank you guys so much. Thank you to the community. You guys are awesome. We're gonna do another one of these, so stay tuned. And please send all the questions that you have to quantumupgrade.io. You can send it to me, and join also the community that we have the link to now. So, all right, thank you guys.
Guys. You guys later.
Thank you, Serena.
Thank you, Philipp. Bye, Serena.
Thank you all.
Okay, all right, bye.